When I was a child growing up, I watched a lot of television. And believe it or not, a lot of late night television. I watched something called the Cool Ghoul Show with a gentleman that dressed up like a ghoul. He had the makeup on, the long hair. Here in Cincinnati, he had a little top hat on and so forth. And he used to show horror movies, which I always have loved. Horror movies. I've always been enamored with horror movies. And so he would have three horror movies, and there was another TV show called The Past Prime Playhouse with Bob Shreve. Both of those gentlemen are passed, by the way. They passed on. And he used to have horror movies as well, and I would stay up until the sun came up in the morning watching these horror movies. But anyway, I'd also watch before the television signed off during that time. There was no such thing as 24-hour television during the 70s and some of the parts of the early 80s, because we didn't have cable television back then and so forth. So I used to watch Johnny Carson and other late night programs until the television again signed off. Now, my favorite talk show host was Johnny Carson. Loved the man. He had some very interesting guests. He had people from the zoo on, and he showed very exotic animals and things of this nature. All kinds of talent, the Jackson 5 and so on and so forth. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on. And Johnny Carson was very unique. And he was a very entertaining, loving human being. I loved Johnny Carson. Now, not simply because I loved Johnny Carson am I picking him as my top talk show host of the past 40 to 50 years. I just think he simply is the best, or was the best talk show host. So there are three other talk show hosts that came along after Johnny Carson, and that was Dave Letterman, Conan Obrian, and Leno. Now, out of those four, especially all of you that are baby boomers that came up around my time, and some of you newer guys that appreciate the talk show era, I guess you can say, who is your top four in your particular order? I put it like that. So out of David Letterman, Conan Obrian, Leno, and Johnny Carson, here's my top four in the order in which I enjoy or have enjoyed them. Johnny Carson first, David Letterman second, Conan Obrian with his silly self third, and Leno last. Out of those four, what order would you pick them? I want to know. Leave it in the comment section below, and we will be awaiting your answer. So long.